Jerry Jones walked into the NFL Combine in Indianapolis and said 4 words that should have set off alarm bells for every team in the NFC East. "Expect me to borrow." That's it. That's all he said. And every GM in that building knew exactly what it meant. The Dallas Cowboys were broken. Their defense was historically bad. Their locker room had fallen apart. And Jerry Jones had run out of patience. What happened next was the most aggressive, most confusing, and honestly most impressive offseason the Cowboys have put together in 20 years. They raided a division rival's coaching staff. They used 2 first-round picks on defense for the first time since they drafted DeMarcus Ware. They turned a trade nobody liked into a starting linebacker for the price of a 5th-round pick. And then, right in the middle of all that momentum, they walked up to their best defensive weapon and publicly told him they don't want him long-term. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why every single one of those moves connects, and why this Cowboys offseason might actually be the most calculated thing Jerry Jones has ever done. How bad it got. To understand what Dallas did this offseason, you have to understand how bad 2025 was. The Cowboys traded Micah Parsons to Green Bay for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. The moment that trade happened, the Cowboys became the worst defense in the entire NFL. They gave up 30.1 points per game. They allowed 35 passing touchdowns, the second most in franchise history. And things got so ugly inside that locker room that they actually released Trevon Diggs, a former All-Pro cornerback, in the final week of the season. Their defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, got fired after 1 year. That made Christian Parker, who we'll get to in a second, the 4th different defensive coordinator the Cowboys have had in 4 years. That's not a coaching rotation. That's a team screaming for help. So when Jerry Jones told the media he was going to borrow from the future, he wasn't being dramatic. He was being honest. And step 1 was fixing the people calling the defense. But before we get to the draft picks, before we get to the trades, there's one move that nobody saw coming. And it started with a phone call to Philadelphia, the coaching reset. Christian Parker is 34 years old. He is the youngest defensive coordinator in Dallas Cowboys history. Before Dallas hired him, he was the passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, working directly under Vic Fangio. Here's what Parker did in Philadelphia. In 2024, the Eagles ranked 1st in passing yards allowed in the entire NFL. Parker developed Quinnen Mitchell and Cooper DeJean into first-team All-Pros in their 2nd seasons. The entire Dallas Cowboys coaching staff is now under 45 years old. The average age is 36. Parker himself is 34. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer said all offseason he wanted energy. He followed through. This isn't just a coaching change. This is a generational reset. Building the roster. Now Jerry starts borrowing. The Cowboys shocked the league when they traded Mozzie Smith, a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick to the Jets for Quinnen Williams. Williams recorded 32 pressures in just 7 games. His pass rush win rate was 19.6%, which is elite for an interior lineman. It still wasn't enough to make the playoffs, but it told the Cowboys exactly what they needed next. They needed edge. So they traded a 2027 4th-round pick to the Green Bay Packers for Rashan Gary. At the time, I wasn't a huge fan of this move. Green Bay was probably going to cut Gary anyway. But look at the bigger picture. Gary had 24 sacks over the last 3 seasons. He had real success next to Kenny Clark, who is already on this Dallas roster. And Parker coached him in Green Bay. This is not a coincidence. This is a coordinator getting his guys. Then came the move that confused everybody. The Cowboys traded Osa Odigizua to the San Francisco 49ers for a 3rd-round pick. Osa was one of their best interior pass rushers. Why would you trade him? Because he didn't fit Parker's scheme, and because the Cowboys already had depth at defensive tackle with Williams and Clark. Instead of keeping a redundancy, they flipped it into capital. And that 3rd-round pick didn't just turn into a pick. It opened a conversation with San Francisco that eventually turned into something much bigger. We'll get back to that. They also signed Jalen Thompson on a 3-year, $33 million deal with $22 million guaranteed. He's a starting caliber safety who is a massive upgrade for this secondary. They added Kobe Durant at corner, PJ Locke at safety, and they brought in Sam Howell as legitimate quarterback competition behind Joe Milton just in case Dak Prescott goes down. Every piece connects to every other piece. And then the Cowboys blew it all up at a press conference. The George Pickens grenade. George Pickens had the best season of his career in 2025. 93 catches, 1,429 yards, 9 touchdowns, his first Pro Bowl, 2nd team All-Pro. The Cowboys traded a third-round pick for him the prior May, and he immediately became the best receiver on the team, outperforming CeeDee Lamb. So the Cowboys put the franchise tag on him, $27.3 million, fully guaranteed. That's the sixth highest cap hit at the receiver position in 2026. Fine, teams tag players all the time and then work out a long-term deal before the July deadline. That's normal. What the Cowboys did was not normal. 3 months before the deadline, Stephen Jones walked up to a microphone at the pre-draft press conference and announced publicly that George Pickens would play under the tag and that there would be no long-term contract negotiations. They didn't have to say that. They could have run the clock quietly. Instead, they told their best new weapon, in front of the entire league, that he isn't worth a long-term commitment yet. Now here's the part that makes this even more dangerous. Pickens' agent is David Muluketa, the same agent who watched the Cowboys ship Micah Parsons to Green Bay because they couldn't agree on money. That same agent is now being told by the same front office that his Pro Bowl client won't get a long-term deal. You do not have to be a genius to see where this is heading. The draft that changed everything. Pick 11. The Cowboys traded up one spot from 12 by sending picks 177 and 180 to Miami, and they selected Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. Let me tell you who Caleb Downs is, because he is not a normal first-round pick. He led the team in tackles with 107, first freshman in Alabama history to do that. He transferred to Ohio State, won a national championship, and finished 9th in Heisman voting as a defensive back. That does not happen. He's one of only 6 DBs ever named a unanimous All-American twice. The others on that list are Deion Sanders, Ed Reed, and Kenny Easley. Scouts called him the prospect most likely in this class to reach the Hall of Fame. Then the Cowboys traded back with Philly and grabbed Malachi Lawrence at 114. The assistant D-line coach they hired from UCF in February coached Lawrence there. That hire was scouting, not just coaching. The Osa trade to San Francisco opened a quiet conversation that turned into D. Winters, a starting linebacker who played all 17 games, posted 101 tackles, and graded top 4 at his position in the NFL. They got him for a 5th-round pick. Every move fed the next one. Is it perfect? No. The George Pickens situation is a grenade with the pin still in it. And 4 defensive coordinators in 4 years is not a blueprint, it's a problem. But remaining objective here, this is the most complete, most connected offseason the Cowboys have put together in a long time. Every move fed the next one. The question is whether it's enough. Let me know in the comments.